Alright, so I'm going to show you guys how to remove the lower sump off the windage tray or sub-crankcase. It's pretty straightforward. If you have an AC bracket, you're going to want to pull that first. Right. And then all the rest of these are AC. All right, and this RTV holds really well, which is why they use it. But it's actually not too bad to get off. What you need is a fairly sturdy scraper like this, one that you can whack the back of, and just start in a corner, and then slowly work your way around. And make sure you've got all the fasteners out, and don't try to pry it down yet. You're just trying to break the seal in as many places as you can and basically cut the RTV. There we go. And that's going to come off now. There she is, just like that. So the next thing I'll do is I'll remove this pickup, which is attached to the oil pump, which is attached to the block. Then I can remove the whole windage tray. But before I actually do that, I'm just gonna hold the adapter plate in place and mark the back here along this edge over here where the bottom of the adapter plate goes. And I'm gonna trim that off now because it's something you can do. You can do it in place. It's obviously a lot easier when you have it off. So I'm gonna do that when I pull it as well. I'm also gonna install the high capacity pan when I have it off because it's much easier to install it on this piece and then just put the whole thing with the high capacity pan up in there. You don't have to worry about oil dripping. It's much easier to get the seal. So the oil pump pickup uses a T30 Torx. There we go. All right, so we're ready to pull off the windage tray or sub crankcase. It's really straightforward. It's these, they're 10mm heads all the way around. The only two that are tricky are the two that are up here. There's one up there and there's one up here. And they're kind of hard to see. You gotta get underneath it. Those could be having you scratching your head for a while if you're not aware that they're there. So that should be loose enough to start coming off. Yeah, there we go. So that comes off pretty easily because there's no sealant on this. It's just a gasket. Traditional gasket. So I'm gonna put my hand under it. This one you'll notice too, if you can see it in the video. I'm not sure if you can. There we go. Coming off. This one has been broken. All right. We are not going to use this. This one looks like it took a hit on the front of the motor, or rather on the rear. Probably the passenger side got hit on this car, and the windage tray, which is attached to the CV back here by the intake, got whacked and broke. But the rest of the motor seems totally fine. So this is the gasket, which is normally, you can reuse it if it's in decent shape. This one's been trashed, so it needs to be replaced. But you can see it, it's kind of got these hard parts, and then it's got, ordinarily this is one piece. But you can see how the saddle there is that nice piece of rubber, and then there's these hard parts, these metal parts with a little O-ring on it as well. Just like so many things on the Zetec, the gaskets are technically O-rings because they're just rubber. But it makes it nice and easy to do. This is one of the reasons why attaching the high capacity pan to the windage tray or sub crank first when it's off the motor and then putting it all in is easier. Coincidentally, while we're here and the windage tray is off, this is also how you would replace the thrust bearing surface in the Zetec in situ. So you would just pull this off, just the sub crankcase, like if you had your high capacity oil pan on there. You can sneak all that stuff off of there. You can actually sneak it off the adapter plate as well. All this stuff will be in place. This is the stock flywheel, obviously it won't look like that. But you can remove all this stuff and then access the number 3 main bearing under here, under this cap, and just spin the old one out with the new one and replace it. It takes about 2 hours. Very easy to do. And that's probably the most invasive you'll ever need to get with a Zetec. All right, since I have the sub crank, we've got it now cut. I've scraped off the old RTV. It doesn't have to be surgically clean, but you shouldn't be able to feel much on it at all. And then degreased it. So we'll go ahead and then do the high capacity pan install. I'm going to make a small bead around the inside of all these bolt holes. For any of you wondering how I'm doing that screw back there, I'm using these 2 fingers. All right, then we wait for 15 minutes or so for this to set up, and then we'll go around and torque them all. Okay, so we're ready to put the high capacity pan and the windage tray or sub crankcase back on. And just double check so that you can see the gasket is right here. It moves a little bit, but just make sure it's in the right spot to get grabbed by the groove. There's grooves front and back that will guide it. And as long as you catch those, so basically what I've done here is I've got 1 bolt in my hand, and I'm gonna hoist this up evenly and use the kind of the casting to guide it in, to guide the gasket in front and back. And then while I'm holding it, I'm just gonna pick like the 2nd bolt hole, or pretty good one, and I'm just gonna put that in hand tight snug, and then I can just hang it gently there while I get the others in. All right, and then we're just gonna put all the bolts back in their places, not forgetting these guys up under here. Easy to forget. We'll put them all back in place and we'll torque them up just as per the manufacturer's rec. All right, so I've got the original pickup fasteners, oil pickup fasteners. Ready to go. I've put a very, very thin smear of RTV around that opening. And I've got a little thread lock on this one. Start them all first. I've got thread lock on all of them. All right, so they're all started. So then I'm gonna go ahead and snug these guys. All right. There it is. And just idiot check your gap. You should have about a 1/4 of an inch back here. All along. Nice. Now we're ready to clean up and install the hatch. All right, so I've gotten the plate installed. The full instructions are in the documents there, but basically you go around the similar pattern as you do most panels you're trying to adhere down. Start from the centers and go crosswise and work your way out to the edges. And then the sealing surface of these flat head socket cap screws is a sealing surface, so make sure you get RTV in there. That's also in the instructions though. And then I got a plug. That's the sensor hole. I've got RTV there, and no RTV on the actual drain plug. And there's the high capacity pan all ready to go.